Hey everyone, sorry it's been a while since I've recorded anything. Well, there's some that I've recorded that I'll be putting on here in a little bit, but I had some difficulties. I had a couple of falls that kind of knocked me out of the market a little bit, and then I got COVID, believe it or not. And so that really took its toll on me. I'm just now getting back into things a little bit. But I want to just hop on real quick because I haven't been on. Let you know, I haven't forgotten about you guys. I'm so sorry. I hope you can forgive me. I know that I'm not one of the most popular people out there, but for those of you who are following me, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. One of the things that I said in my last video, which that I had left the question about what do you do when you have no retirement money? And I wanted to cover a couple of things real quickly. I did retire, but I had to retire early because I ended up having my multiple sclerosis, which originally was diagnosed as just remissive recurring multiple sclerosis, which really basically means is that there wasn't anything real significant that was ongoing. I did get the diagnosis because I had optic neuritis. And then after that, I did have some episodes here and there. I call them episodes. Some people call them flare-ups. But it really wasn't that much. It didn't knock me out. In 2016, I started getting weaker over a period of time, my left leg in particular. But then 2020 hit, and I know that I've covered this a little bit before. And what I had hoped to do was the shed that I had in the backyard of my home, I wanted to be able to try to turn that into an auxiliary dwelling, which would be a one-bedroom home, a tiny home. It was only going to be about the size of a garage, maybe even only 20 feet by 20 feet, that is. And then, of course, we had the pandemic hit. That caused the cost of materials to go skyrocket through the sky. And so that was going to make it harder. But then starting in May, my physical condition started to deteriorate. And then I had the final diagnosis where my MS had gone to secondary progressive MS. And so that meant that things were not going to work out quite the way I wanted them to. I wanted to be able to do some of the work on that little home. I had bought a miter saw, which I had talked about earlier on another video, and I had different materials and so on. But the cost of supplies, the wood and all of that to build a home was going to go up. I wasn't going to be able to do much of the work, which meant the cost of labor would go up, and I didn't have that kind of funds available to do that. And so even over a period of time. But one of the other things that happened was that I realized that I was going to have to retire early because my condition was continuing to deteriorate and get worse. And the company I worked for was terrific about it. They were glad that I was going to stay on for a while longer so that I could work things out and we could get things worked out over a period of time for other people to be able to do the things that I did. Not that I had that big of an important job, but some of the things I did were very important. And so I had really worked on developing it once I started with the company and had really developed that position. Of course, it was a really nice position, but not only physically was I having a challenge with it, but also the cognitive, the fatigue, and so on. So it was getting to the point in 2022 that I really needed to look at alternatives, and I needed to get things taken care of. So I started watching, of course, I've been watching YouTube with the tiny homes and things like that. Anything that had to do with building. I loved HGTV, but couldn't get internet. I wasn't going to pay for internet just for HGTV, even as much as I liked it. But I was watching YouTube, and somebody came up with an RV that they were living in. And so I started watching a few videos with people being in RVs, and that just totally fascinated me. Oh, it has everything. It has, a bedroom, bathroom, living area, kitchen. I mean, it has the basics of what you need for day-to-day life. I didn't need anything huge. In fact, I needed something smaller because in my home, in my living room, um, I was taking, I call them belly flops. I was falling because it was too wide open. I didn't have a way of catching myself. I was using a cane, and it was just, unfortunately, my physical condition was deteriorating, so I couldn't stay in the house. So I started looking at different RVs and so on, and then somebody suggested that I should look at Facebook Marketplace. And so in 2022, well, actually, it was 2021 when that I really started looking, but just a little bit. But in 2022, I got real serious about it, and it came to June, July of 2023. I'm sorry, 2022, and I wasn't able to find anything, and that was getting to be discouraging. I'm like, okay, if I can't find anything within my price range, within the needs and the specific things that I needed, that I wanted to have, I wanted to be able to have an area that was actually, the living room was a living room, the kitchen was a kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, etc. I didn't want it where the couch was looking at the sink. That just didn't make sense to me. And I had seen a couple that were like that, and that were relatively close to my price range, but it just wasn't happening. But then in July of 2022, this great trailer came on the market on Facebook Marketplace, and it looked great, and I went and looked at it with my friend, and then once, I really, really liked it. And the price that they had on Facebook Marketplace, of course, I couldn't afford that. But I just thought, just check it out. And they did say that they did have some room to play with the money. And it had already come down $1,000 from when they originally listed it. So then I thought about it, and I waited. And it was probably a good month later when I went back and looked at it again, and I had gotten approved for a particular amount for a loan. And so I made an offer on that amount, and they countered that offer, and it was more than I could do. And I just went back and I said, okay, can I have $1,000 more? And then what I'd already been approved for. And I'm like, okay. So then I had $300 cash on top of it that I had for emergency. I'm like, I added that $300 to it, and I made an offer with that amount, and they accepted it. And it was great. They were really, really nice people. And they even took the trailer from where it was located to my property where my house was. And I really was hoping to be able to break it down, kind of clean it up, and kind of get it ready for just to move in. Once it was in place, just move in and live in it. Well, that was the goal. It didn't work out that way. Unfortunately, a lot of people were very busy, and I wasn't able to get the help that I needed. A friend was able to help get stairs built so that I could get in and out of the trailer more easily. And then a friend of mine helped get my house prepared for selling. And I was really very appreciative of them doing that. And it was just it was perfect. I mean, the house was pretty clean, but I knew that it had the roof leaks that I was dealing with. And I knew that that was going to probably affect the amount that I would get for the home. But in at the beginning of October, I put it up for sale, and by mid-October, it sold. It didn't expect that. I figured it was going to be sometime on the other side of December. I figured January, February, March, maybe it might sell. But I figured I'd get it on the market, and it's just sold so fast. It just was remarkable how fast that it sold. And so then I had to do some quick thinking to find a place to park it. In fact, I made sure to have a place to park the trailer before I put it on the market. And through work, I was able to have someone that I was able to talk with, and I was able to move the trailer to this property where I am. And so that allowed me, the sale of the house allowed me, of course, to pay off the house. Before selling the house, before it became, a full-blown sale, I had to, of course, replace the roof, and that was taken out of the sale at the closing. And then I had to pay off all of my debt, and I had some pretty significant debt, and got that paid off, and I had a little bit left over. And so when I moved here, the gentleman that helped move it here, I didn't have to pay for that. And he and some friends helped and made sure that it got parked in the right spot where the stairs were going to be where I needed them to be in order to get out of my car safely and get in and out without having to go a long distance because of my physical condition. And that was really wonderful. I really appreciate the loving kindness that those men showed to help me get it done. And then a couple of them came back the next day and made sure that that it was level all the way around. And that meant that a couple of the tires had to let all the air out. That to me was like, I don't know, something was heartbreaking about that. But as it turns out, it's a good thing. Because that allows me to be able to be considered a mobile home, and that allows me to get insurance on it. So that was great. But there were other expenses that came up. To get it tied down, that was a little bit more expensive than I thought. To get the skirting on here, it was custom skirting. It looks really good. I got a couple of different entries where you can get in and get underneath whenever needed. But they did a great job. And then I needed to get the stairs updated. I wanted the stairs the same because they had a 4-inch tread, an 11-inch tread, a 4-inch rise. And so that was enough to make it for me to be able to get in and out safely and get up and down those stairs safely. And I did want to have a place to be able to sit outside. So I did get the 6x6, 6 foot by 6 foot deck. So those are things that ended up adding up. And there were a couple of things that did need to be taken care of here. Needed to have the roof totally cleaned and then have it sealed. Because there were a couple of spots here when it rained that there was a little rain that came in the kitchen. And that got taken care of. But then when I removed the couch, which is in another video, there in a corner, there was a lot of damage on the floor. So that had to be taken care of. And so little by little, things ended up taking more money than I had. And so I ran out of being able to pay others to help me. And I've done some of it myself, but very little because it's... and I'm going to go into this in other videos about multiple sclerosis, and it takes so much energy just to get up and walk. And there's things that I want to do. I've been able to do a few things, and I'm so glad that I've been able to do that. And I'm working on a new physical therapy regimen. I'm hoping that will help. I'll get into that in another video too. But then in June, July, and August of 2024, I got hit with some extreme expenses. Long-term disability decided that they overpaid me for 4 months, and I have to pay that back. I'm still in the process of paying that back. But then I got hit with having the water heater. There was damage on the floor. There was a problem with the gas line Had to get that repaired. Those guys, they were very, very nice. In fact, they have not charged me for that. They did send a bill, but they were just like, don't worry about it, which was nice of them too. That was that's a lot of money. But and then had a problem with the leak in the bathroom with the toilet, and that had to all come out. That had to be fixed. I had to put on new tires on my car, and then I had to replace the radiator fans on my car. I was just one thing after another, so it ended up being thousands of dollars. And since I didn't have cash for this, I didn't have savings for this, I had to put it on credit card. And so anybody that knows anything about credit cards, you know that there's interest on it. And because I've had to pay this long-term disability back, that is dollars I haven't been able to put on my credit card. But I have been doing that. I will be doing that, but I'm paying what I can. And I'm glad that I have been able to do what I have been able to do. I wanted just I'm taking longer than I wanted to on this. But I do have, I'm going to pause this for a second. So I wanted to just briefly touch on this. I have gone through and I have done an inventory of the food that I have. And I started doing this last year when I was doing this, when this all first came to hit me and cause so much financial problems. But I have meat, canned goods, I have my inventory here, and then as I take it off, have taken it off, I've adjusted it. Now right now this is brand new. This is being updated as of today. I haven't finished it yet, but I did want to make sure to show what I've been doing. And then on in this final column over here, I have different things that help stretch the dollar, different things that I can do for just making multiple meals. But I wanted to touch base on this real quick before it gets too late, and this is taking longer than I wanted it to. I did want to touch base with you real quick, and I'm sorry that I haven't been better at this. I'm still learning what to do. I've been taking some, been looking at different videos and so on to learn more. I have a lot to learn, but I do have things to do as well. And so my energy is taken pretty quickly, just doing normal things, cleaning house, washing dishes, cooking food, and so on. But I'm working on that. And so I'm hoping that what I'll be able to do on Mondays is put out a brief video talking about multiple sclerosis and some of the other things that I'm doing for as far as the budget and so on. Just I'm going to keep those things real brief. And then on Thursdays, what I want to do is to release videos of the small projects I'm doing. So one of the things that I had decided to do, and I haven't gotten into any kind of real details to tell you about at this point. I mean, it's all here in my brain. But like I want to do, I really want that bedroom to be the first thing that I get done. But things have happened. I haven't been able to do anything. Blah. I haven't been able to do anything else. And so it needs painting. There needs to be something at the end of the bed to help to keep the mattress from moving and shifting and help keep the sheets and so on and so forth in place. Find a way of being able to make my bed easier. Those kinds of things. And I want to get that done. It is my comfortable room. And it's interesting that I can be in there and I can focus on something other than looking around. And when I look around, I'm like, oh, I got to do this, got to do this, I got to do this. And you just get overwhelmed with things. But anyway, I know that this is kind of a jibber jabber kind of a thing. And I apologize, but I wanted to touch base with you. There's a lot that I want to be able to do. And so on Thursdays, I'm hoping to show the projects. And when I can only work 15 minutes at a time and so on. For instance, I've got that electrical cord that I showed that comes in. It's an orange drop cord, and it's a 12 gauge cord that's running from outside and in here, and I use it for auxiliary, like an auxiliary heater. There's a little, fireplace here. I got an electric heater here under the desk. It gets really cold here, so when I'm sitting here, I use that, and that just helps to keep it so that I'm not blowing circuits in the rest of the place, because this is an RV and it doesn't have the same electrical capabilities as a sticks and bricks home. And so I've learned to work with that, but I want to get that so that it's more permanently in place, so I'm not having it come out against the wall and I have to show that. There's in the bathroom, I put up a new cabinet for the medicine cabinet. It's great, so it's white. I'd like to paint the bottom. I'd like to just show me doing those things, and I know that that's probably going to be boring to a degree, but when you have a disability, those things are really big, and I want to just show some of those things for everybody, and hopefully I will learn how to use this camera better and remember to pull it out when I'm doing these projects, because a lot of times I get things done, I'm like, man, I wish I would have built that. But it's a work in progress, as well as me. And I hope everybody is having a really good day. You're getting to get things done that you want to get done, get to do the things that you want to do. And I hope you're taking care of yourselves. So I am going to leave it with, take care.